What I was wondering was, growing up, especially after this is just my little spot of saying this. I started following Jesus whenever I was a senior in high school. Mm-hmm. Radically changed my life. A lot of darkness, and so after I come out of that, I was always real sensitive to the spiritual side of things. It's like I could sense the presence of darkness around me after I got saved. It was like it wasn't in me, but it was around me. I felt this, you could feel hatred, like a being of hatred is what it seemed like.
Quick question.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Like, what's it feel like? I'd love to hear more details.
What it seemed like was it was like an entity that was around me, that was a being, but it was an emotion, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. I know it was like a being that was there in the room, but it wasn't in me. It wasn't my fear, but it was something imposing on me. Okay. And so I dealt with that for a little while until I kept praying, seeking God. That kind of left me. After I first, and this is the honest truth, after I first met you, whenever I started preaching here on campus, the very next week I was going to come back to Marshall the next day. And the night before I came, I had a dream, and I had like that, what is that where you wake up before your body does?
Oh, sleep paralysis.
So I had that happen for a lot there for a few months. And it happened several times, but two of those instances, I'm not crazy. I work a full-time job. I raise a family as well as many of you. I contribute to the community.
No, I work on the sidewalk.
Right.
Oh no! Don't worry about us calling you crazy.
And a couple of other diseases.
So, but anyways, long story short, I had that happen to me, and I looked to my left, and there was a dark figure standing over me with its hands around my neck, and it scared me so bad I jumped and landed on my wife. She thought somebody was breaking in the house because I reacted so excessively, and my throat was sore, and I even noticed that like the next day when I came to preach. And then that happened again like 2 weeks later. I was sleeping on the couch in my living room, woke up, but I couldn't move. I was paralyzed. I seen like a dark figure, like a spirit, fly from the top of my ceiling here to the ceiling across my room over there. And I've seen demons cast out of people at Christ Temple Church in Huntington, West Virginia. I've had pastors at our local church that have testified to going through those experiences. And so, say all that to say, I just... that's where I'm coming from whenever I'm ministering or trying to reach out to those that may be involved in a lot of darkness, that he brought me out of that and Jesus transformed my life. And I love you guys, and I don't ever want to come off like I hate anyone here. It's really, I grew up totally ignorant of religious things. Was not raised in a religious home at all. I was raised in pretty much an atheistic home. But it's after I met the Lord, he changed my life, that I come to know the freedom that he offers. And so I don't want to take up any more time than really that, just to say that I've had real experiences with spirits and darkness and the power of darkness and a presence around, and I've also experienced the Holy Spirit and God's love and his mercy that changes and fills your life, and the true light that lights every man that comes into the world. There's a light, there's a truth there, but is something that will harm you when you take hold of it. It's kind of like a snake that puts fangs in your neck, and it looks so pretty at first to play with, and then it bites you. And so I just wanted to say, I know this is your meeting, and I'll leave it at that. But the scriptures do warn that witchcraft leads one to hell. I know everybody in here has heard me say it. Revelations 21:8, that these things will defile you. They'll hurt your heart. They'll break your life. And really not always, because I've met really prosperous people that are involved in witchcraft, Satanism, very rich, very prosperous, temporarily speaking. But it's the eternal that we're looking for. And live in light of eternity was something Leonard Ravenhill said. Paul preached in a town in Ephesus, and after all the people gave their hearts to Jesus, they came and burned all their sorcery literature. In Isaiah 8, when someone tells you to consult mediums and spiritists who whisper and mutter, should you not rather seek God? Why consult the dead on the behalf of the living? Consult God's instruction and testimony of warning. If anyone does not speak according to this word, they have no light in them. Let no one be found among you who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft or casts spells, or who is a medium or a spiritist, or who consults the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord. But he wants you and desires you to be blameless before the Lord your God and walk in his love. And so I just wanted to share that from my perspective. And I won't be at any more meetings, but I wanted to take an opportunity to reach out to you guys because you're my neighbor. And I don't think there'd be any more Christians on campus that would be here but me. And so I wanted to reach out to you because I care for you guys. So that's why I'm here.
Oh no, we do appreciate you being kind. Something I do want to.
On everything, but thank you for being respectful.
Yeah, exactly. Something I do want to say too. When I was deeply religious and questioning, I would see spirits on my own too.
True.
And I would have sleep paralysis as well. I would see like monsters, like in the form of, for example, like a deer that looked nice until it had fangs would try to attack me, trying to come out of a wall. That was a regular thing. It was scaring the heck out of me.
Yeah.
Because that was when I started questioning. I thought that I was being punished. And so that's not uncommon, especially in sleep paralysis or stress as well. So
Audible,
I won't invalidate your experience.
Audible or visual
Both,
hallucinations.
yeah. I won't invalidate that experience.
And I'm not taking anything away from what you said, but I've been where you've been as far as the casting out.
Yes, sir.
They had it too strong, man. Things bizarre happen. And I've never seen a table levitate or anything like that, but I know there's something going on there that I don't understand.
Right.
But as far as where you said with your sleep paralysis, I'd like to suggest this, and it may not be a problem, I may not be what it is, but that was a big change in your life when that happened. And when you said you felt that oppression or that energy around you, under stress, and she'll probably be able to say that, but under stress, you'll manifest that yourself if your subconscious is expected. And as far as sleep paralysis is concerned, if you tie a knot around your finger real tight and go to sleep, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a dream that somebody's cutting your finger off or pulling it off. So, but I'm not telling you, I know sleep paralysis is a real thing, but I'm talking about as far as...
What threw me off was the soreness in my neck after I came out of it. It was like it had validated it was a real experience.
And you could have been choking yourself.
I never have been known to move in my sleep really like that, but...
Or your hand might have been up there trying to get a hand off. I'm not, like I said, I'm not taking away from it. I know it's a real deal. I know sleep paralysis is real. I'm just saying in your particular situation.
Sure.
Under the stress and the situation, or the jubilance of what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big thing in your life.
Right.
You know, when I got baptized, it was like, I thought, well, when I get baptized, you know, all this weight's going to go off my shoulders. I'm going to be a saved man. I'm going to go around. I won't have any more problems. When I come up out of the water, I felt like somebody put the world on my shoulders, because now I got to behave. You understand what I'm saying? I have a responsibility to behave and minister to younger people and not to let them see me do. You know, I never was particularly the Christian that they wanted to follow around.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of psychology behind, say, sleep paralysis, et cetera. We could definitely talk about that in a future lecture. If you guys are interested in like dreams.
It hasn't happened in a long time. I was regularly preaching on college campuses, wasn't praying like I should, started feeling a dark presence, like an oppression on me. I felt like I was losing my mind. I felt like somebody was constantly doing this in my thoughts for about 6 months. Whenever I would try to pray, I felt like I was going to pass out. They thought it was crystals in my ears. They did all this stuff to try and check me out, check me for pot syndrome, all this stuff. Nothing was wrong with me. And I went to the altar one night to pray and seek God. I was at a revival. I was really seeking Him and praying. I was miserable. And I felt like, whether it's in your body or out of the body, I don't know which, and it's something Paul mentioned, I felt like something was being peeled off my back. And it was like a massive struggle, and it was like something was being peeled off of me. And ever since that happened, this is the truth, because I have no reason to lie. I have nothing to gain by saying that. I've never had that occur ever again. And I've had that peace and that assurance of the Lord. But whenever I was not walking in His will, but still trying to come out here and preach all the time, but not praying like I should, then there's that spiritual aspect that from the Christian mindset, there's the darkness, there's the light, there's the kingdom of darkness and wickedness, there's God's kingdom of light and peace and love, and so they're opposed to one another. And I've felt that spiritual warfare firsthand, and I feel like a lot of you are caught up in the darkness, and I used to be there. And it was only by God's grace and mercy He changed me when I repented and saw how wrong I was and gave my heart to Him.
I don't want to downplay your religion at all.
Sure.
Whatsoever. But the story of Job always interested me a lot. Mm-hmm. Because it said that after he took his wife and his child and his health and all that, the second part of his life he was granted double fold. But I just wanted to know how you can replace somebody's wife and kid and it'd be better than their dead wife and kid.
Well, I'm not arguing for the fact that, number one, God didn't do that to
He
him.
allowed Satan to do it. You're
He
right. I'm
allowed
sorry.
him.
So he let it happen.
He allowed that to occur. Now, I can't answer for all that occurred. Number one, his wife died after she cursed God. So he never did curse God.
You're right. He never did. But
She-
he got his wife taken
right.
away, his child.
And she threatened him, told him to just curse God and die because your life is so miserable and God hates you and everything else. And then so he never would bow to that, and she did. So that was after she did that she loses her life. So I'm not arguing that everything that even happens in life is God's will. Most that happens in the world isn't God's will. Even all the sickness and death we see, if it had remained, for anyone who's willing to look at it from a different perspective, if it had remained the way God intended, there would be no sickness and death in the world. I'm a type 1 diabetic. Like I live on medicine to live. So to live. Like today I would die without the medicine I have. So, if it wasn't for the fall of man in the beginning, then there would be none of this today, no sickness or death.
Oh,
It
okay.
was a woman that did that.
No, actually, it was a snake, but he gave knowledge, right? We bit off the fruit.
Yeah,
and gave
he
knowledge.
told her, eat of this.
Just to
Make you
sorry,
wise.
we got about 15 minutes.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So yeah, we'll kind of wrap up the discussion a little bit. So we kind of want to segue into we were talking about Hexennacht. Just kind of get back on topic here. Sorry.
Then we can come back,
Sorry,
yeah.
this is a really, we can definitely have, biblical discussions in the future, talks about religion.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And
Like,
we're open
I-
to meetings and
I
stuff,
love
too.
open forums,
Like,
and
we're not gonna
it's
kick you out.
awesome. Thanks for
As long as you respect our rights, like anybody
Oh,
else.
it's cool. But yeah, I absolutely love talks about religion, stuff like that. It's definitely a future thing we can discuss. We definitely need to talk about the holiday, and then we'll
Yes.
let you guys be free for the evening. Be free, my children.
Absolutely. So we will be updating